What is going on, Misfit Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. I am your dude behind the mic, Matt the Misfit, and it is time for your AEW Dynamite review for June the 21st, 2023. It is one of the final stops before AEW and New Japan go head-to-head at Forbidden Door. Well, kind of head-to-head, because some members of New Japan are going to be teaming with AEW. My point is, Forbidden Door is almost here. We get that show coming up on Sunday night. But it's not the only stuff we got. We got Collision. We'll talk about Collision and what's going on there with an epic card that was announced. Oh my God, I can't wait to watch that show and talk about that show and whatnot. We had actually more matches announced for Forbidden Door. We know that what the Young Bucks is going to be doing. We know what Hangman Page is going to be doing. We know what the rest of the Blackpool Combat Club is going to be doing. We know that CM Punk will be on the show. I will talk about CM Punk in just a little bit because he is actually a part of the opening of the show, sort of. Because his match with KENTA is no longer taking place because KENTA said, fuck that. It's basically what happened. But before I get into that, let's plug this show here. Let's plug everything that we do here. Because right now, you'll be listening to this show on YouTube. YouTube.com/@Misfit Wrestling Podcast. You can hit the like button. You can comment down below. You can subscribe if you want to. You can leave a nasty comment. You can leave a positive comment. I don't care. As long as you're engaging and watching the show, that's all that matters to me, because you also can follow the social medias. Misfit Podcast TV on the Twitter. Misfit Wrestling Pod on Instagram. That's the other social medias. The other audio outlets here. We have, as always, it's your usual Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Audible, and Pandora. I almost call it Pandora Box. I don't know why. I usually am not used to that. Anyways. Dynamite set up a lot of things. You got your build, the Forbidden Door. This card, Forbidden Door, when we get to because I'm going to not predict anything, but I'm going to go over the full card for Forbidden Door. Technically, it's a full card. Maybe. But holy hell. This show, Forbidden Door, coming up on Sunday, from a card standpoint, is so much 10 times better than what we had last year. And last year, they were working on limitations because people were hurt. People weren't able to work the show. Visa issues maybe were involved. You know, a lot of things played a part in that stuff here. But the show opened with the Hardys taking on the Guns. They were in Chicago tonight. The Hardys got a massive reaction here. The match was iffy. Nothing about that here. But the Guns won after our double team finished to Jeff Hardy, I believe it was, to get the pinfall here. This is while Bullet Club Gold comes out, Jay White and Juice Robinson come out. They try to do, like I said, distract the official. Jay White pushes, I think it was Jeff Hardy, into the turnbuckle, exposed turnbuckle, I believe it was. And the Guns hit the double fiend, the finish on, again, I think it was Jeff Hardy for the win. After the match, Bullet Club Gold jumps Matt Hardy, as Jay White drops him with the Blade Runner, and Juice Robinson hits Jeff Hardy with the right hand full of quarters. Ricky Starks comes down for the save here, but he gets jumped by Bullet Club Gold and the Ass Boys. Not Jeff Hardy. FTR comes out next. The numbers are still against them, and then out comes CM Punk to a massive pop. CM Punk, who was not announced for this show, by the way, he comes out. He officially evens the odds. He gets on the mic and says he's a Collision guy. He isn't supposed to be here, but 4-on-1, what are the chances? The little shot at the Elite. But 4-on-4, it's even worse. So they make up the main event for Collision. It's going to be CM Punk, FTR, and Ricky Starks taking on Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the Ass Boys on Rampage. All right, so we did find out that the Owen Hart tournament, the brackets for the men's side was announced for the AEW men's side, so we'll talk about here. CM Punk, who originally was scheduled to take on KENTA, but KENTA pulled out at the last minute. But the match wasn't actually officially announced, but that was the planned match. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, and I really like KENTA, I really do. But don't go on for years and years and years begging for a match with CM Punk, only to not just not do the match, but also like pull out at the last minute. Anyway, so and I posted on Twitter that I heard the new match, the new direction for Forbidden Door was going to be CM Punk versus Kojima, and that's exactly what's going to happen because CM Punk is in the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. He'll be taking on Kojima at Forbidden Door on Sunday night. Also in the bracket, we have Roderick Strong. We'll take on Samoa Joe on June 29th, next Friday night or not next Friday. No, it is next. Is it next Saturday? Is it going to be a Saturday show or is it going to be Thursday? I'm not sure. I think it's a taping next week. So next week, next Thursday, they're going to tape. I'm assuming they're going to tape Collision. You got Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe, Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs, and Juice Robinson versus Ricky Stark. So that is the men's side of the bracket here. Mark Briscoe defeated Jeff Jarrett in the contestant stands brawl. This was kind of all right. It was something, I guess. But I hope that Jeff Jarrett stays true to his word here. We got the best friends involved. We got Christopher Daniels involved, who hasn't been on television in months. The Lucha Bros got involved. They will not be at Forbidden Door because a AAA talent, and I have to stress this because people do not actually listen. And I'll have to put that out here. I'll have to go look through the tweet that I had put out here. Okay, I'll keep that out here. But basically, AAA talent cannot compete on Forbidden Door. There's nothing wrong with CMLL talent being on the show because Doki, who is wrestling next weekend for CMLL, is going to be wrestling Jungle Boy on Rampage. So Naito can absolutely compete on Forbidden Door, and he will be able to make Forbidden Door because, believe it or not, the flights from Mexico to Canada, it's not that the 4-hour flight. It's really not that hard to get a plane from Forbidden Door from CMLL Mexico and getting to Canada. It's not that difficult. Anyway, I'll talk about Naito a little bit when we get to that segment here. Actually, speaking of which, we got it right here. But before that, we had Jon Moxley shown backstage with the Blackpool Combat Club. He's with Konosuke Takeshita as they reveal that it will be a 5-on-5 match at Forbidden Door with Shota Umino, Shooter himself. Will be teaming with with Claudio Wheeler and Konosuke Takeshita to take on the Elite, which I should point out here because Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson have their own matches that night. Bryan's facing Okada. Kenny is defending his title against Will Ospreay. Bryan says that it will be clear that will be clear that Bryan then says it will be clear that Kazuchika Okada is something more than an amateur, and if he doesn't show up tonight, he's just a coward, basically. Next up, we got Sammy Guevara, Chris Jericho, and Murder Grandpa himself, Minoru Suzuki, defeating Action Andrade, AR Fox, and Darius Martin. This was a lot of fun. I love to see Minoru Suzuki murder people. That's why he's called the Murder Grandpa. AR Fox did some great stuff here. This was basically just to get ready for Forbidden Door as Jericho locks the walls of Jericho. It gets Dante Martin. Not Dante. Was it Dante Martin? No, it was Darius Martin to do tap out. Dante is the one who broke his leg. I think it was. Yeah, it was his leg. I think was this his knee or was it his arm that he? Anyways, after the match, Renee gets to the ring. She about to talk to him, but Jericho takes the mic from her and says that it was a monumental moment in history last week. Sting and Jericho sharing the same ring together. Everyone was excited except for Jericho. He says that he knows that Sting is how selfish Sting is and how egotistical Sting can be. He says the Suzuki gods, which is a stupid ass name, are challenging Sting and Darby Allin to find a partner for them for Forbidden Door. He calls Sting a whore. That's exactly what he said. Sting and Darby Allin then come out. He says that they had a good moment last week, but it wasn't enough. He wants some more time with Chris Jericho and says that he plans on doing that on Sunday and accepts Jericho's lame challenge, as he called it. Jericho wants to know who their partner is, and Darby Allin says he'll find out on Collision. Now, let's stop right there. So, before what happened earlier in the night in the main event segment, I was under the impression because Darby has said you made a lot of enemies, basically over in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'm like, well, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, and I'm like, well. At first, I was thinking of people who have appeared on AEW Dynamite or Rampage that has fought in Chris Jericho, and the first name that came to my mind was Tomohiro Ishii, because I'm like, they got Tomohiro Ishii to be their partner, didn't he? Come to find out, no. So, then I'm looking here, I was like, I forgot that Jericho fought Evil for the Intercontinental title, at. Was it Dominion? Or was it one of those? I think it was part of one of those G1 shows. I don't know. Anyway, I'm like, God, no one wants to see Evil on this show at all. People do not like Evil. And then the other name, which I'm sort of not against, but I'm also not very happy about because I want him to be in another match, which I'll get to that because they announced the Collision show as well. Or the matches for Collision. The only other name that I thought of, because he's wrestled Okada and he's wrestled Tanahashi and Kenny Omega, and all three of those people are busy. Kenny, like I said, is facing Ospreay. Okada is facing Bryan, and Tanahashi is facing MJF. And the only name that came to my mind is Tetsuya Naito. I feel like it's going to be Tetsuya Naito, and it makes a lot of sense. As much as I would love to see Naito team with Andrade to take on members of the House of Black, I think Andrade is going to be on the show somehow, and he's going to team with somebody from LIJ, but at this point, I don't think it's going to be Naito. I'll talk about who I think is going to be in just a little bit, but it seems like it's going to be Sting and Darby Allin are going to team with Naito to take on Suzuki, Guevara, and Jericho. But that's just my thinking logically here. It's the only one that makes sense at this point. And I don't even mind at that point, at this point, because I just want to see Naito on AEW television. I want to see him at this show. He deserved to be on it last year. I don't know why they didn't even bother booking him on the show. You have had a lot of like if you think about last year's show, Forbidden Door, like let's look at this show from last year here, right? But Forbidden Door last year, you could have had a way to put Naito on this show, right? You could have had Naito in this All Atlantic Championship match here. You could have had, instead of Clark Connors, you could have put Naito in here, or you could have had Naito take on not Claudio. You could have had Naito take on fucking I don't know. Trying to think here. You could put Naito in that opening 6-man tag match or something, Or you could have had Naito team with Sting and Darby Allin. I love Shingo Takagi, but you could have had Naito. You could have still done the 8-man tag match and just switched out Takahashi for Naito. You didn't need to change the 6-man tag match. But anyways, but I think it's going to be Naito, and I'll show you why I think Shingo and Hiromu are going to do something completely different on that show, which I still want to see the Haas fight, but we'll talk about the Haas fight in a second. Tony Schiavone and RJ City is backstage. They're drawing names from the Blind and Eliminator tournament, which is basically, or the tag team tournament, which is supposed to be the setup who is going to win the tournament to become number one contenders for the AEW tag team titles. This is just basically lethal lottery from WCW, where you just have everyone is eligible to be in it, including the world champion. So it doesn't matter if you're the world champion or not, or that you're feuding or whatever you're not. It's just random teams put together, and you get. I believe the winners of that tournament gets the shot. I believe it was the winners of that tournament had gotten a shot at the WCW tag team titles. I believe the first winners were Sting and Luger. When Luger was a heel, and I think Sting was still Sting might have been the world champion at that point, but I'm pretty sure Sting and Luger won the first Leaf lottery. But basically, this is what this is here. Adam Cole, because this then bleeds into the next segment here. Well, before that, we had the Elite shown backstage. Kenny Omega says, a lot of people hate the Blackpool Combat Club. When they needed a friend, they've found an unexpected one. And Eddie Kingston, who came in the shot, which was kind of obvious based on what happened last week, says they're not going to be friends, he and the Elite, but he hates Claudio a little bit more than he does the Elite. And he says he will be the one to pick the fifth member for this match at Forbidden Door. Then we go into the segment that bleeds into the Blind Eliminator tag team thing here. Adam Cole comes out, and MJF gave him one of the hardest matches of his career. Says that he didn't win, but neither did MJF. Cole says that it was smart to not go 5 minutes, but it was also the coward's way out, which is not true when you're was it though? I mean, he was the champion. Anyway, plus, if you're the champion defending the title, why would you want to go? And if you're a heel, first of all, why would you want to go an extra 5 minutes? It just doesn't make a lot of sense here. But Cole then goes on and claims that MJF wants to be the best. He has to face anyone. He has to face anyone who gets in his way. MJF says, not MJF. MJF didn't say this. He says MJF has still not, or he's never beat. Basically says MJF did not beat Adam Cole, and just calls out the AEW champion. MJF comes out here, congratulates Cole because he came back better than ever last weekend. Says Cole is welcome for him, dragging him out here again. MJF then claims, had the time not ran out last week, he would have beaten Adam Cole. He denies Cole's attempt for a rematch because Cole did ask for a rematch for MJF here. Instead, Cole suggests they fight right now. This was hilarious. Here. Tony Schiavone tries to talk, but both of them tells them, shut up, Schiavone, at the same time, stereo, and it was hilarious. MJF had a better line, too, coming after that here. Schiavone reveals that the first two names pulled out of the tag team blind tournament were Adam Cole and MJF. And Adam Cole's like, I ain't teaming with this prick here, which is basically what MJF said. And MJF says, you want me to... He said this to Tony Schiavone, and I lost it. It was one of the best lines of the night. He says, you want me to wrestle every week? Huh? What do you get off of this, you pervert, or something like this? And I was like, oh my God, that was funny here. Hiroshi Tanahashi, who actually spoke English in this, which I've never actually heard Tanahashi speak English before, so that was my first time hearing it. Tanahashi says that MJF, he dares him to show up on Sunday. MJF says basically he still wants the match with MJF. MJF says for the millionth time he isn't going to be there. However, Cole cuts him off and says MJF thinks that Tanahashi is better than him, which he is. It's Hiroshi Tanahashi. Come on now. Which is why he won't accept the match, is what Cole says. But Cole starts leading the crowd into a coward chant. MJF then accepts the challenge for Forbidden Door. Cole says to MJF, "Good luck, partner." I love that. Yeah, not Michael Cole. Adam Cole is going to be the babyface who is a snickering prick. And I love it. Next up, we had a tag team match here. Orange Cassidy and Shibata take on Zack Saber Jr. and Daniel Garcia. This was a hell of a match here. I thought this was a lot of fun here, but Zack Saber Jr. and Daniel Garcia ended up getting the win here. Garcia manages to avoid an orange punch. He nails Shibata by accident, which caused a miscommunication here. Zack Saber Jr. catches Orange Cassidy into submission as Garcia rolls up Shibata for the win. After the match, they're looking to each other's face, and on the bottom graphic we find out that's going to be a fatal 4-way match for the AEW International Championship. It's going to be the champion Orange Cassidy defending against Katsuyori Shibata, and Zack Saber Jr. and Daniel Garcia. So I like that they're going to continue the trend of last year, where the All-Atlantic Championship was a 4-way to crown the first ever All-Atlantic Championship champion, and that was Pac who won that one, who defeated Clark Connors, Miro, and Malachi Black. This year it's going to be Cassidy defending against Shibata, Zack Saber Jr., and Daniel Garcia. That should be a fucking hell of a match. Oh my God! There's this show for Forbidden Door now. If you think about it, up and down the card, every match on the show has the potential to steal the whole weekend. Stardom's gonna go crazy with the main event that they have planned for their show, and then New Japan and AEW is kind of like, well, since you didn't want to be on our show, we're gonna one-up you or something. I don't know. I kid, but I can't wait to talk about it. Or I miss on Orange Cassidy. Will Ospreay is shown backstage. He slags off Canada as Don Callis then appears. He says Ospreay needs special security and is going to make his own. He's going to make his own security appear. He's going to make his own security available to him. As he wants to see a fair fight. So again, building. I was random to see Ospreay on the show and not actually do something. Speaking of the Elite, they weren't seen for the rest of the night. They had a pre-tape segment that was pre-taped on Friday, I want to say. So it was pre-taped before the whole thing with CM Punk on Collision. They weren't going to be on the show, regardless of what he said on Collision. It is because of CM Punk, but, anyways. Chris Statlander defended and defeated Taya Valkyrie for the TBS Women's Championship. This is all right. Again, not the biggest Taya Valkyrie fan here. I like Chris Statlander. He hits the Wednesday Night Fever to retain here. Chris Statlander, as of right now, is not on Forbidden Door. So who knows what's going to happen here. So then we got the brackets. The other side of the bracket for the women announced on. Actually, I'll go over that after I go over the main event segment. Main event segment here. Eddie Kingston came out, says the Elite left as he told them that he didn't respect him. Kingston says there's a lot going on here he doesn't like or agree with, especially a certain somebody, referring to Jon Moxley, who is supposed to be his homeboy, but is mad that he's teaming with the Young Bucks or whatever. However, he can't stand Claudio at all, and he doesn't care if he or Jon Moxley have a problem. Moxley then appears in the crowd. He comes in and tells Kingston, this is great here. He tells Kingston he's drawing the line on Sunday. However, Kingston says, no, you drew the line when you started this team with that scumbag, meaning Claudio. Moxley says something about every time. Kingston tries to say, every time what? Nothing happens here. He says, Kingston's like, I don't have time for this shit. The fifth member of our team on Sunday will be Tomohiro Ishii. Out comes Ishii. Crowd makes a pretty good noise for him. He makes his way out there. The ring. Blackpool Combat Club appear. They jump Ishii from behind. Numbers of edges here. Bryan Danielson comes out here. He starts calling out Okada. He says if he doesn't come out, he'll stomp Ishii's head, face in. For those who don't know, Ishii is in Chaos, which is Okada's current faction. He's the current leader. Before that was Shinsuke Nakamura. The coin drops, and the crowd loses their shit as Okada gets to the ring. He gets in and stares down to Danielson, and I had goosebumps. I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Seeing Okada and Danielson face to face for the first time ever in a ring together, and they're gonna create magic on Sunday. I cannot wait to watch that match. They start facing off. Willie Yuta, that little shithead, jumps Okada. The crowd boos him. Bryan's getting ready to hit the Busaiku knee kick. He avoids it, or Okada avoids it. Danielson nails Yuta instead. Okada looks to hit the Rainmaker on Danielson. Danielson ducks, but instead Yuta gets the Rainmaker for his troubles. And that is how that is how Dynamite went off the air. And I thought Dynamite was pretty fucking good. I enjoyed the show that we had here. I thought it was pretty good here. So here is what we got for Friday night's Rampage. We have Will Ospreay. We have Aussie Open is going to be teaming with Swerve Strickland to take on Chaos. It's going to be Will Ospreay, Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb, and Swerve Strickland taking on Rocky Romero, and the Best Friends. That should be a lot of fun here. The Acclaimed and Billy Gunn will be in a 6-man tag match, it seems like. Adam Cole will be speaking. We found out on that show. Here is a little spoilers if you don't want to know what is happening. I'll talk about that when I get to the card here. The updated card for Forbidden Door. We also found out that MJF is going to be on the show as well. So there's that to talk. We have a Owen Hart tournament, first round tournament match for the women. Sky Blue taking on Anna Jay from the Jericho Appreciation Society, and Jungle Boy will take on Doki from Just Five Guys in New Japan faction, led by Taichi. I think he's led by Taichi, but Sonata, who is in that group, Sonata, the IWGP World Champion. Collision is stacked, man. We have Hiroshi Tanahashi will be taking on Swerve Strickland. That is going to be a lot of hell of a fun. We also have another Owen Hart tournament match. Willow Nightingale will take on Nyla Rose. That's going to be a lot of fun, in my opinion, hopefully. And then we have Brody King will be taking on the team of Brody King will be taking on Andrade El Idolo, based off of last week's sneak attack from the House of Black, which will set up, hopefully, the Forbidden Door match between the House of Black and Los Ingobernables de Japón somehow. And in the main event of that show, we have CM Punk, FTR, and Ricky Starks taking on Switchblade Jay White, Juice Robinson, and the Ass Boys. Here is the updated card, the current card for Forbidden Door. And here it is as it stands. We have Kenny Omega defending the IWGP United States Championship against Will Ospreay. What was as announced as the main event for Forbidden Door by Excalibur multiple times, Kazuchika Okada versus Bryan Danielson. We have a first round match for the men's Owen Hart Cup. CM Punk versus Kojima. Athena will take on Billy Starks in a first round women's Owen Hart Cup tournament match. That's going to happen on the 0 hour pre-show. IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Sonata will take on, or will be defending against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. AEW World Title is on the line. MJF defends against Hiroshi Tanahashi. The Fatal 4-Way match for the International Championship. Orange Cassidy defends against Zack Saber Jr., Katsuyori, Shibata, and Daniel Garcia. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki will take on the team of Sting, Darby Allin, and presumably Tetsuya Naito. Blackpool Combat Clubs, John Moxley, Willer Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli will be teaming up with Konosuke Takeshita and Shota Umino will take on members of the Elite, which is Hangman Adam Page, Nick Jackson, Matt Jackson, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii. AEW Women's Championship is going to be online. Willow Nightingale will challenge Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship, and a match that was announced on Rampage for your spoilers. And if you don't want to know this, skip a few minutes ahead. Adam Cole will be taking on Filthy Tom Lawler. So that should be a lot of fun here. And again, a rumored match, possibly House of Black. This might be a trios championship match. House of Black probably going to take on Andrade, Hiromu Takahashi, and probably Shingo Takagi. I'm saying Shingo Takagi because I want that house fight between Brody King and Shingo Takagi. So that is Forbidden Door. That is the review for AEW Dynamite. I will see you guys back here Friday night for SmackDown. The schedule as it stands here for Friday. We have tonight, this will be up. The AEW Dynamite review will be up. Friday night will be SmackDown. AEW Collision / Forbidden Door predictions will be on Saturday night. Sunday afternoon, we have the Stardom Sunshine review. That show is going to have that big, massive tag team, I guess, War Games? Well, it's not War Games. I wish it was War Games. That main event of that show is going to be Queen's Quest. It's going to be Lady C, Hina, Utami Hayashishita, Saya Kamitani, Azumi, and we'd like to call her Kevin. Will be taking on all of Oedo Tai, which is Natsuko Tora, Saki Kashima, Momo Watanabe, Starlight Kid, Ruka, and Rina. Loser at the cage match. The loser of that match will leave the unit, the faction that they are in. That's the main event of that show. That should be a lot of fun here. And then on Sunday night, we have, obviously, AEW Forbidden Door, AEW New Japan Forbidden Door review. What a week it's going to be. I'm probably going to be exhausted on Sunday after reviewing 2 shows. But, hi, that's what I just decided to do with my YouTube career. Well, not just my YouTube career. It's more of like it's everywhere. This podcast is everywhere. Though I do want to mention something here. I put this tweet out on here because I mentioned Doki, who will be on Dynamite, on Rampage. It said, anyone still saying that Naito can't do Forbidden Door because of the CMLL AAA thing needs to stop. Doki, who is wrestling for CMLL next week, is wrestling Jungle Boy on Rampage. It's not CMLL people that cannot be on Forbidden Door. The people who cannot be on Forbidden Door are AAA talent, which is why the people like Roosh, Bandito, Andrade. I think Roosh was in the company last year. Bandito not really was in the company, but I'm using him as an example. But it was mainly Andrade. Last year it was Andrade, Roosh, and what the hell is his name? The Lucha Brothers, who were not on Forbidden Door because they weren't allowed to be on Forbidden Door. But Roosh and Andrade have quit. I think Andrade quit AAA. I know Roosh did, and I think Dralisico did as well, but I'm not. No, it was Bandito. I think it was Bandito. It might have been Bandito or Dralisico. Anyways, one of those. Anyways, my point is, Naito can be on the show. There's nothing stopping from Naito from being on the show. So that's all I just have to say here. But yeah, that was the AEW Dynamite review. I'll see you guys back here for Friday Night SmackDown. I've been Matt the Misfit. This has been the Misfit Wrestling Podcast. Until Friday night, we're out.